just a black boy brought up in the white world. I just wanna ask God if I'm in the right world. Is my life a test or is my life a curse? They put us in an ambulance, got us in a hearse, cause another brother deceased, but it doesn't matter. Killed by the police while we in the handcuffs. I don't wanna take a knee, I just wanna stand up. Where's the new Huey P? Call it Black Panthers. Just do the math, they subtract us like minus. Fuck COVID, KKK is the virus. We are not afraid, we will not stay quiet. They will always label a rebellion or riot. Kill a black man seems to be their assignment. White supremacists terrorize the environment. Guns and the canine, tasers and sirens. I just wanna live, I don't wanna live violent. We don't want violence.
My people don't want no trouble. We've had enough, sure go. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live.
Do you want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Afriquetoday. Fogham. You can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Afriquetoday app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.afriquetoday.com. Afriquetoday, the best of digital TV.
I'm a young black man, doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to my kind every day, I'm being hurt to this prey. My people don't want no trouble. We've had enough, sure go. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live.
I was just a black boy brought up in the white world. I just wanna ask God if I'm in the right world. Is my life a test or is my life a curse? They put us in an ambulance, got us in a hearse, cause another brother deceased, but it doesn't matter. Killed by the police while we in the handcuffs. I don't wanna take a knee, I just wanna stand up. Where's the new Huey P? Call it Black Panthers. Just do the math, they subtract us like minus. Fuck COVID, KKK is the virus. We are not afraid, we will not stay quiet. They will always label a rebellion or riot. Kill a black man seems to be their assignment. White supremacists terrorize the environment. Guns and the canine, tasers and sirens. I just wanna live, I don't wanna live violent. We don't want violence.
My people don't want no trouble. We've had enough, sure go. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to mankind every day, I'm being hunted as prey. My people don't want no trouble. We've had an ocean go. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live.
I was just a black boy brought up in the white world. I just wanna ask God if I'm in the right world. Is my life a test or is my life a curse? They put us in an ambulance, got us in a hearse, cause another brother deceased, but it doesn't matter. Killed by the police while we in the handcuffs. I don't wanna take a knee, I just wanna stand up. Where's the new Huey P? Call it Black Panthers. Just do the math, they subtract us like minus. Fuck COVID, KKK is the virus. We are not afraid, we will not stay quiet. They will always label a rebellion or riot. Kill a black man seems to be their assignment. White supremacists terrorize the environment. Guns and the canine, tasers and sirens. I just wanna live, I don't wanna live violent. We don't want violence.
My people don't want no trouble. We've had an ocean go. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live.
Do you want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Afriquetoday, Fogham, where you can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Afriquetoday app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.afriquetoday.com. Afriquetoday, the best of digital TV.
I'm a young black man doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to mankind every day, I'm being hunted as prey. My people don't want no trouble. We've had an ocean go. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live.
I was just a black boy brought up in the white world. I just wanna ask God if I'm in the right world. Is my life a test or is my life a curse? They put us in an ambulance, got us in a hearse, cause another brother deceased, but it doesn't matter. Killed by the police while we in the handcuffs. I don't wanna take a knee, I just wanna stand up. Where's the new Huey P? Call it Black Panthers. Just do the math, they subtract us like minus. Fuck COVID, KKK is the virus. We are not afraid, we will not stay quiet. They will always label a rebellion or riot. Kill a black man seems to be their assignment. White supremacists terrorize the environment. Guns and the canine, tasers and sirens. I just wanna live, I don't wanna live violent. We don't want violence.
My people don't want no trouble. We've had an ocean go. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live.
You are live.
Oh, I didn't see my face. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Afriquetoday with American Africans United. We are very excited today to have some special guests joining us. It's due to an unfortunate situation, but we're going to have to start a dialogue and look for solutions and be prepared to help our future generation of young Black men and women. I wanted to say, I hope everyone got a chance to look at the video of I Just Want to Live. It's been 400 years of police murdering Black people. Enough is enough is enough. So tonight, we're going to talk about Black men and women and endangered species. We have with us today, I'm your host, Dr. Yvette Butler Yaboa with American Africans United. And I want to welcome, I'm going to call it our guest and have them say a little bit about themselves. Our guests today are going to be Michael Campbell, attorney from California. Tonight, we're going to talk about Black men and I'm hearing background noise a little bit. So we have with us Michael Campbell, attorney from California. We have Malcolm J. Clybourne, who's a public health professional from Silver Spring, Maryland. Dr. Marsha Coleman Adebayo won't be joining us today. Unfortunately, has some technical difficulties, but she will be on next week. With a few technical difficulties, she will be on next week. And we have our special guest who should be joining us later, Dr. Arikana Koi, as well as Mustafa Salim from Afro Descent Nation. They should be joining us as well. So I'm going to welcome everyone, and I'm going to just give it a start. I want everyone to kind of tell us a little about yourself and tell us why do you think and why are you here today to really talk about Black men and women and endangered species and what's going on right now. As we talk, as I'm speaking now, there's riots getting ready, well, I won't say riots, peaceful demonstration going on in Washington, D.C. Right here in the Capitol, they're getting ready to start having their peaceful demonstrations due to the most latest and egregious and unfortunate tragic killing of one more Black man. I'm going to start off with Michael Campbell. Can you hear me? I hear a lot of background noise. Yes, I can hear you. I'm hearing a lot of background noise.
I hear feedback.
Yes, I hear a lot of feedback too. I have everything off on my side. Okay, I think the feedback is taken care of. So Michael Campbell, will you go ahead and introduce yourself? Oh, you've introduced yourself, but tell us a little about yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Thank you for having me, Dr. Butler and the rest of the panel. Yeah, my name is Mike Campbell. I'm over here in California. I am an attorney as well as a small business owner. And, I believe that the reason why it's important to have this discussion today is to once again, bring to light and bring attention to the reoccurring events that keep happening in our lives as Black people. Specifically, those of us who are American descendants of slavery, who have been here since the beginning of this country and who can't seem to get a break, because of all of the violence and constant terrorism that we're being exposed to and subjected to. So, it's my pleasure to be a part of the panel and just to give my unique perspective and opinions about what's going on. Rest in peace to our brother George Floyd, as well as all of the others who have gone that way. And I think that is definitely important for us to continue to the discussion and try to come up with some solutions so that we can get this to cease. So that's it for now, but thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Malcolm, would you like to chime in? Michael Clybourne?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Malcolm Clybourne. I'm a Silver Spring, DC metro area resident and native. I have 5 years so far of public health experience in the public sector. The real reason why I'm here to talk today is because I want to highlight how systems and societal institutions create the symptoms of Black violence, and continue the conversation that has been started by many people in the zeitgeist about how we not only highlight those systems of oppression, but also create strategies for community resilience to be able to address those systems of oppression so that we can end the killing of Black bodies, of Black lives.
Thank you. I'm trying to get Dr. Arikana on. We're trying to send her the link because she didn't get the link. I'm not sure why she can't get into the link. But I want to also, Brother Salim is not on yet, so we do have Dr. Z, Brother Z. Brother Z, can you say a few words at all?
Yes. Mustafa Salim is the assistant chief minister, and also he's a judge in the Afro-descendant nation. He is the person that I hope will make an appearance. But I'd like to say that it's heartbreaking to see what happened to Mr. Floyd. It doesn't matter your age, and we know that our color is our badge. And as Black men, we need to put a stop to it. And I think that's what the discussion will center around. One thing I heard earlier is the main culprit was arrested and charged with third-degree murder, and that's not enough. So I turn it back to you, Dr. Butler.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Arikana is chiming in. So while she chimes in and gets online, I just want to say a few things that just last week here in Montgomery County, we were having a vigil for a young man that was shot and killed by a police officer here who was under distress. And it was noticeably a man under distress and was shot and killed. And May 7th, just this month. And here it is, we did a visual, and I wake up to a disturbing phone call from my oldest daughter in tears of, have you heard? And I'm like, no, what are you talking about? And she was, she was very, very upset and crying. They killed another one. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she said, you got to turn the TV on. And when she told me what happened, how it happened, I'll be honest, I could not turn the TV on. I said, I couldn't see another Black man being killed like an animal in the street. Right now, they treat dogs better than they do the Black male or female. Animals. There's more rights for animals than there are for our young Black men and women. And so I finally said, I heard the Attorney General is going to make statements. So just yesterday, and I want to thank everyone for such a short span of time coming on to discuss this. So yesterday I decided I'm going to hear what the legal system has to say and what they're going to do about this case. So I said, and I stayed and watched it. So I turn it on, I'm listening to them, then they show a clipping. After looking at that clipping, and after hearing they were just unappeasing us and not even arresting these police officers, they just got fired. So now you're a regular citizen. No one black would ever been released, even a black police would have been released, been fired, and just let go free. So when they did not arrest anyone yesterday, I couldn't understand it. So today when I heard it, and I'll be honest with you, I cried too when I saw it yesterday. Because I looked at it, I said, you wouldn't even do that to your dog. So how and why are we doing that to a person who lives and breathes and walks up on 2 feet just like yourself? Why is this continually happening? And then I went back and I looked at some of the things that were going on. In 2015, they named black men an endangered species. That black men were being killed at a rate of an endangered species, of animals who they were wiping off the earth. We were being killed at the same rate as they were. So it's not a question of we're endangered species. Our young men and women are an endangered species. Our future is endangered. And we just have to think about what are we going to do and how we become numb to this. And we can't become numb. And I wanted these young men who are on the call today, because you all have children. And some of you have probably young males. But it doesn't matter if they're male or female anymore. We thought that females got a pass to some degree, but we don't. Black females, if you're black, the police bullet is meant for you. So I just wanted to get some sense of what other people are thinking, and then I'm gonna just tell a little, and I'll go over some statistics of what has happened in the last, first I said I'm gonna look at the last 2 years, then I'm gonna look at the last year. The number of blacks being killed by police is alarming. It is disturbing. And every time they have killed someone, the one that happened here in Montgomery County, people did not even know it happened. And it was on May 7th. They did not even know it happened. It wasn't publicized. It wasn't talked about. And they're stopped reporting. They're not even reporting on a lot of these cases unless it's videotaped by someone else. If a community citizen does not videotape and put a tape out there, you are not hearing, we are not hearing, the community is not hearing that they're killing us every single day. So with that, I want to turn it over, and I want to start with Malcolm. And soon as Dr. Arikana comes on, we'll let her introduce herself. And then we're going to talk about solutions after this and let a few of the people, I'm not sure if we have any call-ins yet, but let a few people have, say a few things. So go ahead.
So there was one thing I really wanted to jump back into what you said, Dr. Butler, when we talked about not only the male deaths, but the female deaths as well. I think there's one thing, and I was just thinking about this, that I noted, is that, one of the starkest examples of inequality in our nation, I would say, is the disproportionate rates at which Black women die in childbirth. You feel me? So if we're going to talk about genocide, if we're going to talk about endangerment, we really have to not only just talk about the individual acts that happen to challenge our bodies, but the way that this system creates methods and reinforces challenges to our very existence. And, we have to start from birth and move on. So when we talk about the endangerment of us as Black people in our bodies and our lives, we have to start first from the moment we are born, the stress that that is put on us by our society, and then move on from there. To a certain extent, I vehemently believe that, the police violence that we see is a symptom of a system, is a symptom of not only a system that has decided and is enforcing the the idea that the Black body is disposable, you know. So if we look back at some of the results that came of the Department of Justice investigations into Ferguson, Missouri, Baltimore, and New York, one of the main reasons why they said the police were so heavy in Black communities was because it was a way to be able to gain extra revenue by ticketing people and arresting people. And why could they do it in those communities? Because those are communities where they felt like it was okay, where the bodies and the people in those communities were disposable. You know, they could arrest and ticket people regardless of their crime, or if there was a crime, you know, and use that as a source of cash without any reprisal. So when we talk about some of the violence that we're seeing, it's really important that we not only address those symptoms, so make sure that people who commit the violence are held accountable, but also look at the reasons why that violence is okay, and from the systematic point. Why is the system okay with the violence that's put on our bodies?
You know, thank you so much, Malcolm. And that, you know, that's a good point to make, because women are dying at a disproportionate rate to any other communities out there. And the lack of affordable and healthcare coverage in general, we just don't have that. And so, and then now with this COVID-19, we see who is affecting more so, and Black individuals, and women are hard hit too as well. And I want to just introduce, we have one of our special guests on. I want her to introduce herself, Dr. Arikana Koy. If you can introduce yourself, and welcome. And we want to thank you so much for taking this call and coming on at such a short moment, because we are in a crisis right now, and this crisis needs to be resolved. And it's going to be a step-by-step process. And I know you have a lot that you can offer about how we can get there as well. But can you please introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about, you know, how do you feel about Black men and women, an endangered species, which we are now an endangered species by all categories, as they've called it.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ambassador Arikana Koy. Thank you for having me. It's really a difficult time to be talking to all of you with a heavy heart and having to deal with what we're dealing with. I think I feel exhausted, hopeless. The status of Black men and women in this country is unacceptable. The systematic massacre, really, hunting down of Black men like wild animals, is unacceptable. But having lived in this country as long as I have, you know, there's nothing I can say that hasn't been said 1,000 times over. And I've watched in absolute horror, just breath being sucked out of George's lungs. And I couldn't help but say, what else can I say that hasn't been said? And trying to look and think of what could be the solution. And I couldn't help but keep saying the sense of hopelessness among Black people, particularly descendants of formerly enslaved. That sense of hopelessness and despair can only be addressed when the children of Africa can be in a position to say, if all goes well, if I can afford it, or I can wake up one day and say, you know, I want to go home, and there's a pathway for them to go home. This sense of hopelessness, I don't know how else it can be addressed. It has been a reality for Black people for over 400 years. Yeah. And it continues to be a reality that doesn't seem to have an end. The perpetrators seem more and more emboldened. And now I see the one police officer is being charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter. Really? He's going to get away in no time, even if he does time behind bars. Right. So I feel very strongly this morning. I woke up convinced more than ever that a case has to be made. That it's about time we have a serious conversation with the African heads of states. It's about time we have a serious conversation with all the kings and queens in Africa. How long is it going to take? before we can offer a pathway for the children of Africa to go home. To give the children of Africa that anchoring that they need. If you look at an African American, you can only trace them to the slave plantation. That does not take you home. I compare myself to an African American. You hear my name, Arikana Chiombori Kwao. That tells you I was born in Africa. It tells you Chiombori takes you into Zimbabwe. And when you get into Zimbabwe, they're going to say, oh, yes, the Chiomboris are from this part of the country. The name Kwao takes you to Ghana. And when you get to Ghana, they'll say, oh, yes, the Kwawas are from this part of the country. You can go home and be with the people that have a DNA that's 100% or close to 100% similar to yours. There's something anchoring about that feeling. African Americans, we can only take you to the slave plantation. 400 years later, why haven't we done something about this? Why hasn't Africa come together and said the children of Africa must come home? That completion of the journey home must be completed, and the African heads of states have got to stand up and do the right thing. We thank President Nana-Addo for giving the 126 citizenships, but that's not good enough. We thank President Mahama for giving 35 people citizenship during his tenure, but that's not good enough. What is needed is a true pathway to citizenship that the children of Africa can wake up and say, you know what? I can always go home. I don't have to put up with this. Well, not everybody may want to go home, but the fact that that option is there, the option to go home is there. This is the one thing that Israel has done for her children. Many Jews may never set foot on Israel. But the fact that they can go to Israel if they choose to, that alone is anchoring. That alone eliminates the feeling of hopelessness. That alone eliminates the feeling of despair. That alone eliminates the feeling of fatigue with no hope of how to deal with it. So I don't know what else I can say that hasn't been said before. But all I can say is there's got to be another way out. And I think the African heads of states needs to step in and open pathways for the children of Africa to come home, should they choose to do so. It's as simple a matter of a head of state saying and putting this issue on the agenda of the parliament, and they create a pathway. If all the 55 African heads of states did that, just maybe it will begin the anchoring that the children of Africa who've been lost in the wilderness can have. It will begin to give them the hope that they have needed. The sense of hopelessness is palpable. I feel it. I can say I can pick up and go to Africa today. That's not the case with my African American brothers and sisters. So I'm willing to want to bring in a different spin to say it's time the continent steps up to the plate and on this issue and bring the children of Africa home. That is my take.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And that means a lot, especially being an African American born to parents who were enslaved. I had the opportunity to be doing my DNA, and I've been able to trace my roots back. And so come from multiple different countries, Mali, Togo, and little Ghanaian in me. So I do plan on hopefully going and resettling, but a lot of everyone can't go, and they won't be able to afford to go. What Absolutely. Can we do? And Mr. Campbell, can you chime in as well? What can we do for our Black children here? And what is our responsibility? Because I feel that we're responsible. for what happens to our future. Because these
Right.
children are our future and we are responsible. And if we don't do something now, the civil rights movement helped us get to this point. But guess what? Every one step we've had 10 steps back. They've never stopped killing us. They have never, ever stopped killing our children.
But
Right.
here's the thing, that's where the hopelessness comes in. Because when you look at it, the perpetrators are not getting any better. They've been there. They're in the police force. Why is a man that we just saw killing a black man in broad daylight, why is he getting manslaughter? Why is he getting third-degree murder? Right there, there's a problem.
Right.
So how do we begin to address that? The issue is not us. The issue is them. How do we deal with them? It's not us. It's them. We're minding our own business and they're hunting us down like wild animals.
Right.
How do we address a problem that is somebody else's problem? We are victims. We are coming from a position of righteousness. What do we do? How do we change that? Do I tell my son not to go jogging? Do I tell my son don't go outside? What do we do? We are the victims here.
Yeah.
I don't know, sis. I do not know what else. That's why I said I woke up this morning and I thought to myself, what is it that we can do that's in our power? One option is to go home, to give that anchoring, to say, while I may not be able to go home today, but I can work towards it. 10 years from now, I can get out of this situation. Right now, there is no hope. And those people are not changing, my sister. They are not changing. And there's nothing you and I can do to change them.
Well, one thing we know for a fact is, suspected white supremacy or this whole notion of white supremacy is global, right?
Yes.
So even when we go home, and I love that sentiment, and I've been to Ghana, and I love the feeling that I had when I was there, the feeling like I was back home and surrounded by family. But we know for a fact that, this notion of white supremacy follows us home and continues to try to oppress and reoppress, so that's the way we got here. Those of us who are American descendants of the institution of slavery, we got here because white supremacy was over in the motherland and colluded and brought us here.
Don't do that now.
And we've been nothing but terrorized and oppressed ever since. And so what we have to know is that it is a continuum of that which has been going on since the beginning of time to get us to get it into our heads that we should not fight back, but should lay down. And I think the solution to our problem is to continue to stand up, to institute a code of conduct that says that we're not going to continue to rely upon the very system that oppresses and terrorizes us to do right by us, but we do have a right to defend ourselves. If we can think about the Black Panthers and even the Nation of Islam and some of these more stand-up groups who have took a stance and said, hey, we're not going to allow you to just beat and brutalize us without any repercussions. We have to do that as a people, and I believe that once that message is sent in a strong and forceful way, that there will be a pause or a second thought before these killer cops take the actions that they take, because this is government sanctioned murders that's going on. And then when the people respond to it by protesting, and we have some misdirected anger, so it turns into looting, and it's it just spills out all over the place. In order to appease the masses who are upset, they'll Oh, well, we'll arrest him and charge him with third-degree murder. They probably had a conversation with him and said, listen, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to, calm everything down. So just play along with us, and we're going to get you out of this as soon as possible, and you'll be back on the streets, hunting down more of these so-called animals, the way that we intended to be. But what we cannot stand for is for them to try to give us their idea of justice. So I'm not saying that we go out in the streets and just, throw caution to the wind and get mowed down by this government who wants us to do that. But we have to come together as one people, Africa as well, be on board with us. And we have to stand as one. And when something like this happens, we have to take a specific type of action towards the specific actors who implemented the action, so that the others who are waiting in the shadows to do the same will know that one way or the other, you will be brought to justice. And I mean a real just justice, not this Americanized justice that's just an appeasement. So I think it's, we have to act. We have to get more serious. It's time out for marching and singing. That's a beautiful thing, but tire out with that. So when we become fearless again and start to act out of fearlessness instead of fear, then I think we will get more respect, and we will also get them to take a second thought before they attack us the way they do. Because right now it's a pitiful shame, and I'm sickened by it. And I know so many others are.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Mike. So much of what we've been doing has been trying to address each incident as if it's isolated and as if it's not a part of a long legacy of oppression and violence. And it's going to really take and I'll give you another example, right? When we talk about that, like, individualized justice, one example of the way they do that for us is by saying, all right, cool, here goes a black chief of police, know? That's the exact same type of kind of give and take scenario. Because, for example, the police chief in Minneapolis is a black man, and we've heard today in the interviews with people from Minneapolis that they don't even really blame him particularly for what's going on. But the fact remains is that we still see this violence in police departments that are headed by black people. And so we have to be even more concerned about how we tackle the systems that even sometimes black people are put in top of to manage, So we have to look at the way the police systems are being financed. We got to look at the mandatory transparency of those police systems. One thing that's happening in the aftermath of the police shooting here in Silver Spring is that an organization called the Silver Spring Justice Coalition is demanding that the new police chief, after the current police chief is fired, does a monthly report on what incidents happen in Montgomery County, Maryland, that are pertaining to violence of police on black and brown bodies, and on bodies of people who may have mental health issues, bodies of people who may be homeless, because we have to remember these are also populations that are being decimated because no one's watching. And so we have to demand these structured activities to be able to make sure that we are getting the justice that we need, and that these systems are in place to the point where we're not trying to make sure that we respond to each and every act of violence on us with either violence or justice, but that before the act of violence happens, there are systems in place to stop that violence from happening, where there are real life repercussions for police departments that do commit these acts of violence. And it's really important that we look at some. So, for example, the Silver Spring Justice Coalition, they have on their website a plan for talking about limiting that amount of violence. We also got to look at, even on a more macro level, plans like the ones that have been put out by the Black Futures Lab, that really gets into exactly how we, instead of trying to use the politicians that are already in power, we empower politicians that are come from our communities that are really about using separate and not so, institutionally ingrained methods of fundraising and media to be able to get our voices and our issues to the forefront. So the point where we're not relying on the systems that are existing, we're making our own systems. We're forcing, people in power who hopefully will soon be us to be able to not only put people in leadership positions that are going to, put forth those priorities, but that are creating systems that even when we're gone will continue and make sure that Black bodies are protected.
Sure. Thank you so much. And you guys have made some great points. I want to introduce our other special guest, Mustafa Salim. Brother Salim has now joined us. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background? And with a question that we had first is, what has happened currently? What's your sense about it, and where can we go from here? Brother Salim. And Brother Salim, could you turn your phone horizontal as well?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Peace be unto you all. My name is Mustafa Salim. I am a member of the Lost Foundation of Islam. I serve in the capacity of Assistant Chief Minister. I've been in the Nation of Islam since I was 15. I've been countered many oppressive acts by this government. And it's still happening to us. It will continue to happen to us as long as we have a wildebeest mentality.
Yeah.
The wildebeest can see the lion take its cubs down. They just run off.
Yeah.
We've got to destroy in ourselves this I got mine, you got to get yours mentality. We got to get rid of this it didn't happen to me, so I don't care attitude. I am a senator in the Afro-descendant nation. The Afro-descendant nation is a separate entity from the United States of America. Mr. Muhammad has been in the UN fighting for us and our human rights. And I support him in his struggle and his fight for our freedom, justice, and equality. Unfortunately, we are caught up inside of America in her politics. We always will be caught up as long as we remain an active part of America. As long as we cling to the identity as Americans, we will always be treated as subclassed Americans. We will never be treated as equals. There is no way in hell that a man who enslaved us for over 400 years going to turn and look to us as his equal. I don't care what he tells you, what he says, he's telling a damn lie. We are a nation within a nation, and we must begin to act like a nation within another nation. We have human rights above and beyond civil rights. Not to dissuade you from fighting for your civil rights, but at the same time, I am saying you're wasting your time fighting for civil rights.
Right.
Civil rights are given to civilly alive people, and we are civilly dead. We only have life given to us that we claim for ourselves, and we claim for ourselves 19 different nations claim for themselves the identity of Afro-descendant, and we are 250 million strong in the United Nations, and we can self-identify as Afro-descendants. We have our own governments. We have to begin to operate inside of it as if we were on our own homeland. We are in the process of preparing to exit us out of America. As long as we stay here, we're going to be treated as second-class citizens. We'll never be treated as equals. That's my take.
Dr. Butler.
Yes, yes.
I'm the invisible man. I was holding it down to Minister Celine Kane. The brother also on the panel named Malcolm. If I'd like for Minister Celine to address what Malcolm X didn't do as far as the UN go, please, sir.
Malcolm X did not get for us an identity, and he did not fight for reparations for us. It took Mr. Muhammad over 15 years of going back and forth to Geneva, Switzerland, to gain for us an identity. See, before Mr. Muhammad was there in the UN, we were not considered people. We were all a part of the American system. We didn't have an identity. They knew not where to place us in the scheme of things. What things are in place, all we are saying now is it's time to come on board. We have reached the apex of what we are willing to take. I know that's where we are. We're not willing to take anymore. But where is that going to lead us? If we take up arms against America, how long could we sustain a conflict? We don't make guns and we don't make bullets. If we get wounded, we got to go to the hospital. We're not in a position to take up arms against America. They know that. So what else are they going to do to us? Continue to do what they've been doing. That's what they're going to, and they're just emblazoned by this president. This is the kind of attitude that he has. Hit him upside the head and bust him upside the head when you get ready to put him in the police car. That's his mentality. He sanctioned it. He okayed it. It's good for America. It makes America great again. It makes America more oppressive again. So we needed an identity. Well, today we have that identity. We have to operate inside of it. We're not African Americans. We're not. We come from different places, but we all are Afro descendants. No matter if you speak Spanish, whether you speak Portuguese, Dutch, French, English, we were all brought to the diaspora for the one single purpose of being slaves. And that is the same attitude that they have even to this very day, that we are brought here to become slaves, used as tools and as fools. That's what they use us for. Every nationality of people who wants to come up in America plants themselves in our community, and we support them and because we're consumers. We consume. We have buying power, but we don't have any economic power. We don't produce. We got to become producers. We have to build for ourselves. We have to feed ourselves. We have to clothe ourselves. We have to teach ourselves. This is what we have to do. Submitted.
Yeah, thank you so much. As we're going to be, this is a call-in show. People actually can call in as well. If you do have a question and you'd like to call in to ask any of the panelists today any questions, the number is on the screen. You can always call in, and we will definitely take your questions. And so before we move on, I just want to again thank Afriquetoday for hosting this. And I want to do a round robin with my panelists again and say who my panelists are. Because if those of you who just came on, we have attorney Michael Campbell from California on the line. You just heard brother Mustafa Salim, who's from Atlanta, who's with the Afro-Descendant Nation. We also have our non-visible partner, he says, brother Zeke, who's also with Afro Nation on the line. We also have Malcolm J. Clybourne, who a recent graduate from University of Maryland with his master's in public health, who's traveled extensively and did Peace Corps in Mozambique and traveled extensively to South Africa during his younger days, has a lot of experience on the continent on the line. And we have our other special guest who I am just so excited, who's been and represents the nation of Africans in the entire world. Our ambassador to the African Union, Dr. Arikana Chumburi Koi. Did I say that right now?
You are a Ghanaian. You ought to do better than that. I'll give you a pass on the Chiombori, but I won't give you a pass on the Kwao, because you're a Ghanaian woman just like me. You're a Ghanaian wife. You should know better. So you need to try again. What's my last name again?
Dr. Chumburi Koi. Is it Koi? Koi, right?
No, it is Kwao.
Wow. Oh, okay.
Wow.
You know, my husband doesn't help me. I tell you, I get him all the time. I am married to a Ghanaian. I am proudly married to a Ghanaian who doesn't teach me nothing. I can say only two words.
I know the feeling. My husband is the same way. So we got to work on our husbands too.
Yes. So before we take any calls, I want to think, we've talked about all things that happen. What are some other solutions? Because this is going to keep happening to us here. And we have to have a strong strategy for various sectors of our community to become, just to live. I won't say become true citizens, because citizens of what? Just to become and survive. And then for a future of our generation, because sometimes I sit back and I think, are they trying to truly wipe us all out? Is that their intent? And when you see things like this, which just happened, and they continue to happen, like, yeah. And so how can we as people of color, because we cannot expect for anyone except ourselves to solve this problem, because they will not solve this problem for us unless it's beneficial for them. And they will only solve it to a certain degree where we're still oppressed, stepped upon, and disrespected in every single form and fashion in this country. And also, when we travel, when we go abroad, it's one of the things I've seen. And like Ghana's done a good job of welcoming us and wanting us, but some of the other African countries haven't done so. And we really got to make sure some of those other countries are just as welcoming and pull us into the fold. But how do we do it as we're here, of unifying folks and getting us to be one people here? Who wants to take that?
I'll take it. I think the fundamental issue is the mind. We're very much suffering from the legacy of slavery and colonization. And most of us don't even realize that we are suffering from this ailment. If you look at just our inability to trust each other, our inability to believe in each other, our inability to unite, even when it's pretty obvious that that is the only way out, we still can't do it. So what is keeping us from uniting, especially in here, the United States? When you look at other races, look at Italian Americans, look at the German Americans, look at the Irish Americans, look at the British, look at the French Americans. They stick together like super glue. I attended a Jewish fundraiser. In a couple of days, they raised millions of dollars on a 2-day event. I attended a 2-hour Irish diaspora event, 2 hours. They raised over $2 million. These the Irish people were members of parliament, members of Congress, and people who work for the State Department. White Americans, 2-3 generations removed from Ireland, but they were still proud Irishmen. And they gave selflessly because they believe in the stability of Ireland. They believe that a stable Ireland equates to a respected Irish diaspora. 15 million Jews only in the entire world. They control the world. Because why? They may not like each other as individuals, but when it comes to Israel, they stick together like super glue. Because they understand a respected Israel equates to a respected Jewish people around the globe. Why is it that we are surrounded by all these other races? Look at Mexicans. Even Mexicans, they come together when it comes to issues pertaining to Mexico. But we just can't seem to learn from others around us. And we complain, but when it comes to doing things that we must do, I give you an example. We were just talking about some country, I won't mention which one. They gave away a tender to the Chinese to build 600 megawatts of power, 3 different plants, each one 200 megawatts. And the diaspora were calling me, and these were both African Americans and continental Africans. How come the Chinese, the government is giving all these tenders to these Chinese? And I said, well, I tell you what, if you tell me that you guys got the money to go build those power plants and provide power to all these villages that are going, all these millions of people who are going to get power, I'll call the president and see if he can give you guys the tender. And that's where the conversation ends. We like to complain, but when we say, put your money where your mouth is, that's where the conversation ends. That is our disease. If I were to say, of the 50 million Black people in this country alone, let's take 5 million and let everybody commit to $83.33 a month. That's about $1,000 a year. Let's do it to perpetuity. Let's invest all that money into a fund. It's your shareholding. You just do it. And then the fund will start investing in projects in Africa. That's how this country was built.
Yep.
By people putting their monies together. You become a shareholder. Can you imagine those people who invested in Amtrak when it was being built?
Right.
People who invested in all these major companies that we don't even think about. We got the big Inga Dam coming up in Africa. Wouldn't it be wonderful to be a shareholder in Inga Dam? Inga Dam, when it's completed, is going to power all of Africa and part of Europe. When you become a shareholder in Inga Dam, you have generational wealth for 10, 15, 20 years down the line. But when we bring projects like that to us Black people, we run. What do you have to lose? $83 a month.
Right.
$83 you could have spent at McDonald's, only to become fat and have high blood pressure.
Yeah.
But we're not practical in our thinking to say, we can actually do it. The Jews have been doing this for centuries. When they were the endangered species after the Holocaust, they came together and stuck together like super glue. They strategized and did what they needed to do. They gave selflessly. They believed in each other. Until we can get to a point that we can also believe in each other. We can call for 100 people right now, and everybody with $1,000. That's $100,000.
Right.
Let's call for 1 million people out of the 50 million of us. Everybody with $1,000 in a year. By the end of the year, we are sitting at $1 billion. Now let's do that every year to perpetuity, and our kids just grow up knowing, when I grow up, this is what I'm going to do, because this is what my inheritance is all about. We can do it. And it's something that is totally painless, but it takes a mindset, a change in the mindset, a belief in yourself. I often tell young people to say, don't worry about what the next person is going to do, worry about what you are going to do. So if I make my commitment that I'm going to trust my brother because we are going to invest in this mine, I'm going to say, I'm going to commit my $1,000. I'm going to commit my $100, whatever the unit is. And I am not going to worry about what the brother is going to do or the group of brothers are going to do. If they disappoint me, it is on them, because my conscience is clear. I can't stop doing the right thing because others around me are not doing the right thing. But we got to build that sense of trust in each other. And we continue to speak to each other, to say, my brother, I love you. My brother, I trust you. But if you disappoint me, I'm still not going to hold it against you. It's on you, and you got to deal with it. Then let that brother make the same commitment to himself. And he also tells others, because we're too busy waiting for others around us to change before we can change. That's not going to happen. And they put us precisely in that spirit, that frame of mind, where we don't believe and trust in each other. And that's exactly where they want us to be, which is why even now, they know we are going to be noisemakers. It's just a matter of time. It all dies down till the next death.
Yep.
And that's why I feel hopeless. That's why I feel I'm exhausted. I don't know what else to do except to say, maybe the children of Africa should go home. If we're going to fight each other in Africa, you know what? We're children of the same mother fighting for the mother's breast milk. At least if you get killed by your own brother, you're brothers. It's a different situation. I hope we won't be killing each other. But at least it's a different kind of situation. I mean, that policeman, he just got me. To be so comfortable when you are killing my brother, my son, it was just unbelievable. How could you be so comfortable when somebody is begging for his mama and he's telling you he's gonna die, he's telling you he can't breathe, and you are totally emotionless?
Right.
3 minutes with no pulse, and that still didn't bother you. I don't know what else to say, except how bad do things have to get, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's where we are.
Yeah.
So, Ambassador, thank you for those words. That was a beautiful call to action.
Yep.
And I'm really happy that you said that as I was formulating something in my head. I work with a group of brothers called Bro Capital, and we've been successfully getting Black men, young men, to put $100 in an account since 2016. And when I hear messages like that from my elders, it helps validate that sense of struggle and that sense of initiative that I really do think my generation has. I do believe we have it. There's no doubt in my mind. And it's really important for there to be opportunities like that, because that sense of go is so important that we hear and we get that motivation and that torch from our elders. And I really, really want to do it one more time. Thank you for that message, because it reminds me why me and my partners do the activities that we do. We have the conversations that we have around financial literacy, because that is something that young people I think my generation of young Black folk, we've been talking about financial literacy much more than, some generations before us. And not to say anything about anybody else, but just this is where we at. This is where we want to get to. And so to see that, someone of your stature is seeing that vision for us, it's really important for us to hear that, because it makes us not on dreams that may not ever come to fruition, because if our elders are having these visions, that means the investment is worth it. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. We actually have a caller who wants to come in, but I also want to remind everybody that this is on Facebook Live. We're live on Facebook as well as on YouTube. So I'm watching it on 2 screens. So if you see my face moving back and forth sometimes, I'm actually looking at the screen on YouTube, where I actually can see everything going on. And I want to Again, thank everyone who's on. And let's take this caller and everyone who has a thought back to what Dr. Coy. I call Dr. A, and that's my sister. I love her. And so I want to tell you now that, this, what she said, and I want everybody to think about that call to action she put through. We have to take that call to action and do something with it. And so on that time, we have a caller. Is a caller on the line?
Hello? Yeah.
All right, so
My name is Coach Fofo. I'm in a community builder activist,
someone else had a
living in a community on the Silver Spring. And I have a question, and my question, I just hear where the Dr. Arikanas just say, a project to put money together to build or to put the project in Africa. But before that, how can we bring our own people, African community people here in this country to build the trust before we can go to the project? Because I realize that we are not together in this country to build the trust and then to go also to do the project. How can we do that? This is my question.
Well,
I can answer that.
I'll speak to that. I think that it goes to exactly what Dr. Kwa said. We have to be able to start with trusting ourselves first and believing in ourselves. And if you trust and believe in yourself, right, then you can reflect that. You can get that brother or sister to reflect that back to you. And if they fail, then it's a reflection upon them, But if you get enough like minds together, to move in one accord in a certain direction and to start to generate results, right? Then there will be more energy that will be drawn to that whole nucleus. So it starts with the single individual, it's sparked in your mind. So when it's sparked in your mind, that whole feeling that you have, that is sensed and picked up by others around you, and you will draw and attract those type of like-minded individuals to you, and you will be able to do some very, very powerful things. I definitely believe in the power of numbers. I definitely believe that, once a couple to a group of people begin to move in one direction on the same accord, that more will be drawn to it. And, there's always going to be naysayers. There's always going to be individuals who are going to fall by the wayside. But if the whole continues to move in the right direction, you will see the results that you're seeking. So I think that it's not healthy for us to try to sit around and wait until we get 100% buy-in before we act. We act with those who are willing to act. I'm willing to take a loss. Like Dr. Kwa said, hey, it's $80-something, it's $1,000. I've wasted that on plenty other things as a consumer. So you have to be willing to take that risk. The problem with our people is we want 110% guaranteed that it's going to work and it's going to be, we're going to put in $1 and get $1 million back. It doesn't work that way. It takes time, it takes trust, and it takes discipline and a willingness to lose, and then for you to see the gains that come from it. And when you take that mentality and you multiply it, then you'll start to see a people that are on one accord. So I love what you're doing, Malcolm. Dr. Kwa, I love what you're saying. I have a financial services business myself. I've done these types of experiments and encouraged individuals to come together to make powerful moves because, hey, it's easier to do it as a group than it is to do it with one person. It's easier to raise $1 million with 1,000 people than to raise $1 million with just one person. So we can do this. And all it is you have to just believe and trust. And so that's my take on it.
Let me also say, along those lines, since leaving the mission as the African Union representative to the United States, precisely with that understanding and the realization that We really need to come together and speak with one voice. But more importantly, with the developments that are going on in Africa, with what they are calling the African Continental Free Trade Area, Africa is going to be going onto the world market as one customs union. Major opportunities are going to be opening up because we're now looking at how do we develop the continent, not how do we develop each individual little bitty country.
Right.
The Chinese have a strategy on how to take advantage of all that. The Europeans have a strategy on how to take advantage of all that. I know for a fact that the African continent does not have the expertise or the finances to implement those programs. So clearly, the majority of those programs are going to be implemented by non-Africans. So with that in mind, I felt very strongly that the group that is missing to take over that role are the children of Africa in the diaspora. That's all people of African descent. We have enough expertise, we have enough capacity that if we unite, we can fill that void and block those contracts from going to the Chinese, from going to the Europeans. I can tell you, my young people, my young sons and my brother, that these people are going to Africa poor and they are coming back mega rich. The heads of states are saying to me, Ambassador, why can't the children of Africa in the diaspora come and fill this void? We don't want to give the contracts to the foreigners, but we don't know how else to reach the diaspora. They're not organized. We don't know how to give them the contracts. I share with them the story of the Atlanta airport, that Maynard Jackson, when that airport was getting ready to be built, the white businesses were saying they don't know where to find the black contractors. And he said, well, this airport is not going to be built unless we have 50% black people. So needless to say, they did find the black people. Today, we have one of the biggest airports in the world, the most beautiful airport in the world, built by majority black people and being run by majority black people. And when I shared this story with the African heads of states, they're shocked. They said, Ambassador, we didn't know this exists. I said, yes. We have road contractors, we have railway contractors, we have engineers, we have healthcare people, we have educational people, we have agriculture people, we have everything in the diaspora. So with that in mind, I started an entity that's called African Diaspora Development Institute. All I'm asking is that people should go there, go to our ouraddi.org. Let's have 1 million people registered. When we have 1 million people registered, there are so many opportunities. We can call and say, well, there's an airport ready to be built. We need 5 million people. We need $5 million or 10 million, whatever we need. As soon as that private placement is subscribed, we close it, and they can go and build the airport. Those who are in are in. We have mines that are available, ready to invest. We have major agricultural projects that are going to be opened up. When we have the database and we can reach each other, we can pass the information out so the children of Africa in the diaspora can be on the driver's seat. The heads of states want to give us the first right of refusal. Before they go to the foreigners, they want to give us the first right of refusal, but we have to be organized. So for those who are on the panel right now, I urge you to go to our ADDI. Just sign up. We want to know who you are and how to reach you. So when we begin to roll out these contracts, we want to be able to reach you so you can participate in the development of Africa. You can benefit from your Africa. Right now, people who are investing in Africa, the return on the investment is a minimum of 10%. You will not get that anywhere else.
Yeah.
But they're getting it in Africa. And I just want to pave the way so the children of Africa can get what is theirs. What is in Africa, that is the inheritance of black people. And if we don't organize, our inheritance is going to slip away from us, this time for good.
Right.
Thank you. Now let me get that website again. It's ADDI.org.
It is our, OURADDI.org. Our ADDI.org. Our African Diaspora Development Institute, but it is our ADDI.org. Just sign up. That's all we ask. We just want to be able to sign up. And then once we have 1 million people, there's so many other things that we can do They go all the way to make sure the sixth region is now a region, to make sure that we can have a pathway for citizenship. So the children of Africa, when you go to do business in Africa, you now go in as a citizen, that you are awarded the same privileges as somebody born on the continent. And all we need are those numbers. The mechanisms are already there. What's left is for us to actualize them, to take that decision to the heads of states for approval. It's left with one stage for the heads of states. And all we have to do is have the representative sample of diaspora. The champion for the diaspora is the president of Kenya, President Uhuru. We give him a concept note and ask him to table it for approval at the next meeting. The next meeting is in February. If we don't get it in by February, we can get it in by July next year. But at least let's have a plan so the children of Africa can take their inheritance. The heads of states are saying, Ambassador, these others are coming, the Europeans are coming to Africa, the Chinese are coming to Africa, investing and going back home to their countries and playing golf while their money is working for them in Africa. There is nothing wrong with children of Africa in the diaspora doing the same thing, because what is in Africa is your inheritance. If you don't organize, then you have no one to blame but yourself. Right now, the door is open. What's left is for us to organize and move in.
Thank you so much. So I do challenge everyone who's online, who's watching us, and also all those who are on the call today. Please go to the website ouraddi.org. Please go and just register. I challenge everyone who's listening in, as well as all of us here today. If you haven't done it already, please go online and register. And we'll keep running this out and putting this out, because we can do it. And that is one area of a solution that we can work on. I haven't heard from Brother Salim. Brother Salim, could you give us some thoughts also on where can we...
Son, can I have my charger, please?
Brother Salim, you there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
So can you give us some thoughts also, Brother Salim, on some solutions where we can go from here? Because I wanted to say right now, I'm not sure if everybody's aware. Right now, they're protesting in D.C. So right now, they've gone and they're now peacefully protesting in D.C. I got a call and they're going to riot, but no, they're peacefully protesting, and we got to have. And I believe in protest, but I believe in having direction after the protest, having actually an action plan put in place. So as people are out there protesting, we need to start developing our action plans. So that's what I want people to think about. And Brother Salim, could you give us some feedback on, let's really try to put action plan together, and we have some steps from Dr. Coy here. So can you think of some things you can also illustrate for us?
We have to submit ourselves to a social compact.
Yeah.
In other words, an instrument that we can all get behind, that won't divide us. I'm Muslim, you're Christian. That's a divisive point. And it will always be a divisive point. But we've been able to make it work in America. So we can take a page out of the American history to see that if we can trust each other on the devil's job to do the things that we're supposed to do on his job, why are we able to do the same thing when we're working for one of our own?
That's right.
We Brother Malcolm, I'm very impressed by you. I'm impressed by the work that you and your generation are doing. I would encourage you to continue doing what you're doing. But trust, as brother, I don't remember your name in the cap, but it, like you say, it takes time.
Yeah.
It takes experience. You have to go through some things. So you have to put your word out. In other words, you have to contract with more people. And as more people began to see that we're able to do what we say we're going to do, when we're going to do it, then we build trust and we build confidence. And your generation has a lot more on the ball than some of our older generation. You were exposed to certain things that we weren't exposed to. So utilize what you've learned. Don't ignore the wisdom of the aged, because we do have some wisdom about how to deal with our enemy. We have to recognize who our enemy is. And it's not just individual persons that is the enemy of ours, it's the whole government that's our enemy. When they brought the last slaves over here, they were flying an American flag. So we waste time and energy on things that don't really bear any fruit. We spent 10 years talking about the Confederate flag. What the hell difference do it make? Whether it's Confederate or United States flag, it's all the same. We have to spend energy on the things that's going to bear fruit for us. And when we set out a pattern of conduct that will allow us for our people to have the kind of confidence that they're going to need, because that's what you're going to have to promote is confidence in your ability, confidence in you doing what you say you're going to do, building trust. And I agree that it's getting hopeless. Yep. It's getting hopeless, but that's the way that the prophecies indicated it's supposed to be. That's right. I can't think that. You're going to get to the point where you can't depend on anything but yourself. When I say yourself and kind. That's where we're headed. We're headed in that direction. So we have to put in and build our own institutions and bring all of our institutions under one umbrella. Regardless of what you believe in, we still need the protection of this one umbrella. We're too divided. And so it's going to take a little time, but we're going to have to come together and we'll figure out how to make that happen. But again, we have to submit ourselves to a social compact.
That's right. Thank you so much for this, Lynn. We have another question coming out of California from Deanna Slayton. She has a question. We've talked about trust a bit. I want to know how to start the conversation with our young people in and out of schools. Also, as we talk about trusting each other, but where did it really, really start? So can someone take that question?
I will. When the ambassador began to talk about going home, and somebody mentioned brother, that's what I'd like Minister Salim to address. Is the white man our brother?
The white man is not now, not tomorrow, nor will he ever be brother. He is enemy. He is devil. People want to call him racist. He can fight against that. He's got defenses set up against that. But if you call him for what he really is, devil, he can't defend against it because it's the truth. And he knows it's the truth. You've never had at any time a Caucasian of any stature, be he great, small, or in between, say to you or say to us that I'm not the devil. But he's always trying to defend himself as not being a racist when he knows that he is. He got a defense set up for it because he made a law to go against it. the allegations that he's a racist. So we are not brothers. We're brothers to each other. Brown, black, red, yellow. We're brothers. White is not brother. You can do business with him. He's all right to do business with, as long as you keep him in check. But he's not brother. Don't think of him like that. You set yourself up for destruction.
So how do we talk to our young people though? How do we start a conversation with our young people for us as people, as Black folks, to really bind together and bond together as one with all of our differences? How do we start the conversations? And this is what we're trying to do, because we need to help our young people get to that next step. And we also need to push, I think, pushing for more for history in schools, because our young people do not know their history. And I think if you know your history, first of all, it won't keep repeating itself. And that's why all this crime and everything happened. We really don't know our history because we were not part of history. We did not write our stories. So people wrote our stories for us, and we heard from from generation to generation, things passed down. But our stories really have not been told. And the people who have been writing our stories for us have misled us in the history. And I think, from my perspective, if I knew more, as I know now, about my historical roots and my ties and my heritage and my ancestral roots to Africa, I would be a different person. It took me into my adulthood to get to where I am now. So how do we begin with our young people of just really engaging them in their conversations and getting them to start developing, creating action plans for themselves and moving us forward? How do we get there?
Well, Dr. Butler, what we do, and this is Mike Campbell speaking once again, and I'll be short and brief, but one of the main things that we do is we model a certain behavior. You see, when you model a behavior, then you encourage those young people to mimic that. Like we say, they're sponges. So we have to be able to reinvent the notion of what is cool. You see, I call it the new cool. Before, you hear the music and they're telling you to go dumb and get stupid and to, behave in these type of low frequency ways. We have to vibrate on a higher level of consciousness, and it's mandatory because of what's going on. So these actions that are taking place in society cause us to get serious, to take life serious and stop being entertained and stop looking to escape, stop looking to be pacified. So for the young people to see the middle-aged adults become more serious and more passionate about ourselves as a people, then we begin to model that behavior and we cause them to do the same. It's just like if you recall back in the 80s, maybe the early 90s, there was a whole movement that went on in the hip hop community where it was a Black consciousness, and the Malcolm X movie came out and everybody was rocking the African medallions, so there was a sense of pride and a sense of culture that surrounded our community. And then, you got the gangster rap and then some other things. And now we got a whole new era of, drug use and just a lot of distractions. But these entertainers, you see, we have to get our kids to understand to stop looking up to these entertainers and athletes who don't exemplify the type of behaviors that we want our community to exemplify, because they're put in position by those the power that be, and they're meant to distract us. But it's up to us as the parents and the elders to redirect the attention of those kids and to tell them what's really cool, and what's really important, and to not only tell them but to model it. You have to model it, and then that creates a whole change. So that's it. Model behavior.
So I want to jump in and do two things. So first, to answer your question directly, my wife is an educator, and one conversation we have a lot is about investing energy into making sure, particularly young Black kids who are descendant of, the people who were enslaved here in the Americas, understand the importance of their culture, and the importance of who they are. And not only we get so caught up in our struggle that we deny some of the brilliance that's innately in us. And so, growing up in a city like DC, there's a lot of Black history and culture that we are surrounded by constantly that most people don't even know, especially young people. And so making sure that they are innately connected to the space around them and understand the influences that were there that have created the situation and the systems that they live in, and the historical ability for them to be able to fight that. Second, I kind of want to throw the question back at Dr. Butler and have her answer it, because Dr. Butler, for those who did not know, has spent, the last at least 20 years, investing into young people. And I would doubt there is any person who is tuned in right now who knows more about engaging young people than Dr. Butler.
That's right.
So I would actually be really interested to hearing your answer to your own question. You can wait. You can let everyone else respond first, but I definitely would think, Dr. Butler, that your opinion and your vantage point on this comment would be, good for everyone to hear.
I said, thank you, Malcolm. And actually, everyone, I have to do a disclosure. Malcolm is one of a Gapbuster product. He was with us since he was in second grade. Wow. He has become one of the most aspiring young men that I've ever had in our program. As he was saying that we're going to have to take over and do our own thing. And so he's one of those. And I want everyone on this call just to watch out and look for him, because I always tell him he is somebody, going to be somebody, and be somebody more. And it was interesting. And I just wanted to say a little bit about, Malcolm says modeling, doing what we have to model. And I've modeled my entire life with the children that I've served, and trying to ensure that I lead by example.
Yeah.
And everyone has said, leading by example. And so I take everything I do in my life has been a reflection of how can I make the life better for someone behind me? What can I do for my future generation? And one thing my husband says to me, he says, why are you always so committed to helping somebody else? And I said, I don't think that the Lord put us here. Our supreme being did not put us on this ground to just live and let live and not make a difference, because the children who I leave behind have to have something 10 times better than I have. And so if we think like that, I think that we can make that difference, because we have to, it's never been about me personally, and it shouldn't be about me personally, and it shouldn't be about anyone personally. And if we can remember that we're all put here for a purpose, and it's not to serve ourselves, it's to serve those who are going to look up to us, and those who we need to leave a legacy for. And those folks are our young Black brothers and sisters and our Black children who are behind us. We have to leave something better for them than they have now. So I've tried to lead by example all my life. And we do have a caller online now. So before I go on the thing, I'm going to turn my light on because it got dark in my kitchen all of a sudden. So I'm going to turn my light on. But we do have a caller, and the caller has a question. Caller, can we get your question? And can you say your name first and where you're from?
Yeah. Okay.
So I've tried to lead by example all my life. So before I go on this thing, I'm going to turn my light on because it got dark in my kitchen all of a sudden. So I'm going to turn my light on. But
Yeah.
We do have a caller, and the caller, can we get your question?
Speak now.
Yes. Good evening. Thank you so much for this opportunity to dial in. I appreciate the honest and, brutally honest, I should say, conversation in this space with like minds. It's inspiring and important. My question is really about your thoughts on leadership, whether at this point in our journey, it's important to have a single voice or a single organization or a single call to action, or whether or not we can respond to the multiple demands on our pockets, psyches, and emotions to seek the change and make the change that we are looking for. What are your thoughts on leadership? Do we need that one leader as we've traditionally looked for, or is it possible to attack multiple, to take multiple points of action?
Well, I'll jump on that really quickly. And I'm not sure if Dr. Akana, are you still on, or did you drop off? Because she did have to go into another call, so I'm not sure if she's still there. So I want to do some last comments. All right, so I think she had to drop off, but I'll just, and then everyone else can chime in. I don't really think that we need to have one leader, because that has been what has been our downfall in the past. Everyone is a leader in their community. Every single person of us, we can be a leader in our communities. We can be leaders in our homes, and we shouldn't look for one leader as people have done in the past, because what happens once that leader is gone, the movement stops. So I think that we all need to really become leaders in our own community. We can be, and we have to just step up to the plate and take that charge. And if you can't do it yourself, we can find collection of leaders. So I don't think one leader should be the head or the helm. We should all it should be more like a tree. There should be a root, and we should have many, many roots to that. So we have a stock, so we have someone who can lead us, but not just one leader. All of us together can come as one and be leaders in our community, but we all have to be like minds and working together for the greater good of our people. Anyone else want to take that on? Any more comments?
I'll chime in again. This is Mustafa. Again, I say we need to submit ourselves to a social compact, likened unto a constitution, if you will, that we can utilize to protect all of us. We all want equality. We want freedom. We want justice. These are things that we desire. And we don't need just one leader. We need many leaders. And we have to have a system by which leadership changes. I was so impressed when I got a chance to see Bill Clinton take power from, I think it was one of the Bushes or somebody. But it was a change of power that was bloodless, was without incident. See, we have to plan for 100 years, 1,000 years in advance, and we've got to start looking at ways to transfer power. This is always going to be an area of contention if there is no set guidelines, no rules and regulations on how we're going to operate. So I'm saying we need a constitution and that we can submit to, that don't call us 3/5 of a human being. Submit it.
Thank you so much for those comments. We are actually going to do a round robin, and I'm not sure if we have any more questions. I'll see, but I want to first thank Dr. Coy for coming on, and I know she had to leave early, but I don't want to take. We were supposed to end about 8:30, We're a little bit over that time. I want to give everybody an opportunity to say some last statements. And I'm going to see if there's any other calls. Nope, no more calls. So anyway, could we start off? And I'll go backwards. So Brother Salim, do you want to start off with some last comments before we go on? And I do want to tell everybody to know this is just the first of many. This is the first of many. We will be airing at least twice a month and possibly every Friday during the COVID-19 and all this wonderful stuff that's now affecting us. But we want to start creating action plans. So if each person closing out could give us something and leave our listeners to something action plan that they can do now to help us move forward to becoming unified as one people, one voice, one nation.
Dr. Button.
Yes.
Before Minister Salim speak, since I'm invisible, I'm gonna be very quick. What was said and what I heard when I opened Message to the Black Man, and it says, love yourself. I think that's the answer, and that's my comment.
Thank you.
On a similar note, you can't force love from a person. I don't care whether it's from a husband, a wife, a child, or another whole people. And we have been trying to get white people to love us. White people don't love us. Matter of fact, they don't really care about us. All of those people that were standing around, mulling around while brother had his life snuffed out, nobody raised a hand to help. And we've got to change that. We have to change that among ourselves. We can't expect anybody else to do that for us. Submit it.
Thank you. Not Malcolm, Michael, do you want to say something? I'm gonna end up with the youngest on the call. I want him to make the last statement. He's the youngest on the call. Because we have 3 generations, I believe, on this call today, which is amazing. And Malcolm is the youngest of all. He's barely 30. He's only 29, is it, I believe?
Baby.
Huh? Oh, he's a baby. Baby, and just got married, starting a family, doing amazing things for himself. So I want him to close it off then. But can we have Michael Campbell?
He's gone.
No, he was there. Okay, we must have lost Michael. So, Malcolm, do you want to give us some action items and close it off for us? And before you close, I want to say thank everybody again, because I want you to close on this. Because you are why we're here today. You are why we're here today. And so you being the generation and our legacy, I want you to close it off. Malcolm Clyburn.
Well, thank you, Dr. Butler. If I'd known I had an opportunity to close it off, I would have thought a little harder about what I would say. But just, I want all of us to, make sure we keep the families of our brothers and sisters that are lost in prayer and in our minds and in our spirits, because I can't imagine if I'm talking to my friends or my business partners, and before we get to the conversation that we plan to have with them, we kind of got to powwow and talk about where we're at right now, and talk about the emotional toll that it took, for my business partner to talk about what was going on in Minnesota to his son, and his daughter. I can't imagine what the emotional toll is being held on the people who are closest to our lost brothers and sisters. So definitely that. But in moving forward, I really want everybody to, like the minister said, I think that's a great charge for, I know you said civic rights were not, the point to talk about, but I think that even in itself, the idea of having a self-constitution for ourselves is important, because it is something that we as Black people can hold as a contract onto ourselves. And I think that's super important. And some of the ways that we can do that, not only by, investing into the contract and the Constitution that you spoke about earlier, but look at the organizations that are around us that are doing work and invest our time into them. That's something that we all can take away, including myself. And really think about ways that we can every day invest in the future, not only safety, but prosperity of our people. Whether that is, engaging in the activities of the organizations that are affecting our people and are serving our people. I know I have the ambassadors, Ambassador Qua's website up right now. I will be signing up for that today. If you are a young Black male millennial, please check out Bro Capital at BREAUX Capital CAPATAI capital.com. Check out what we're doing.
Can you say, Malcolm? I'm sorry, Malcolm. You say a little slower so that our so they can put up on the screen.
Oh,
can you say a little slower so we can put that on the website that you had up on the screen one more time, please?
Yeah, BREAUX Capital CAPTIAL. So Bro Capital, BREAUX Capital.com. Okay. There are organizations out here where we are, as young Black people, trying to make community to be able to push forward and identify ways and structures that are not dependent on the system that is out here to oppress us.
Well, with that, I want to thank all of my guests tonight. I want to wholeheartedly thank you. And we just called this together yesterday. So listeners, want to thank you for coming on and giving us this opportunity to just be here and listen to what we had to talk about. And I want everyone just to go home and, in their hearts, just think about, keep everyone in prayer. And as our young Black men and women walk out the door, it's sad to say, we have to say, be careful. And I hope to see you home, and just wait on fingernails before they get home and pins, worrying about their lives. So, but I want to thank everyone. I want to thank Afriquetoday for being able to allow us to have this time with you today. So we're going to be signing off, and I want to thank everybody again. Thank you so very much.
I'm a young black man doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to my kind every day, I'm being hunted as prey. My people don't want no trouble. We've had enough struggle. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live.
I was just a black boy brought up in the white world. I just wanna ask God if I'm in the right world. Is my life a test or is my life a curse? They put us in an ambulance, got us in a hearse, cause another brother deceased, but it doesn't matter. Killed by the police while we in the handcuffs. I don't wanna take a knee, I just wanna stand up. Where's the new QEP? Call it Black Panthers. Just do the math, they subtract us like minus. Fuck COVID, KKK is the virus. We are not afraid, we will not stay quiet. They will always label a rebellion or riot. Kill a black man seems to be their assignment. White supremacists terrorize the environment. Guns and the canine, tasers and sirens. I just wanna live, I don't wanna live violent. We don't want violence.
My people don't want no trouble. We've had enough struggle. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live.
Do you want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Afriquetoday. Fogham. You can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Afriquetoday app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.afriquetoday.com.